It's our 10-week anniversary.
What are you talking about?
It's been 10 weeks since the start of the new year. So let's talk about what's going on.
Hi, I'm Cam, holistic health coach, mom to 2 humans and 4 pets.
Hi, I'm Amelia, laboratory scientist by day and food scientist by night.
Welcome to our show.
Join us as we share our holistic approach to life after 50.
You can expect real life stories with a dash of humor and a ton of truth.
If it happens in midlife, we're going to talk about it. So hit that subscribe button and follow along.
We're the Midlife Mamas. That makes sense. It's our 10-week check-in. So maybe on January 1st, you have these lofty goals about how you were going to whip into shape your health and fitness. So we're checking in. How's it going?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think by this time, Cam, if you're like most people, us included, some days, 10 weeks is a long time to have stuck to a goal. And if you have, great, fantastic. We're just going to give you some cheerleading going into the next 10 weeks. But if you haven't, let's start talking about why and what we can do to turn things around.
Yeah, because really it's not that difficult or time consuming to exercise in midlife. And maybe you're holding on to your old ways, your 20s and 30s, where it was hours and hours, like you on the bike and all the things you used to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes just the thought of how difficult or time consuming it's going to be makes us not want to do it. So kind of shifting our mindset, which we talk about a whole lot on the podcast, is important here. And we're going to, I know you're the expert here, Cam, and I'm so excited to hear about all these things that we can do to reset and really focus on moving. And what's the difference between moving and exercise?
Yeah. So let's start right there. So moving, I would describe as you don't change clothes. Maybe you put your shoes on or whatever, but it's moving your body through time, space, and gravity. It keeps your hunger low. It keeps your stress level low. And it's just the daily things that you do. If you're standing at your desk, or I just got a walking pad, or walking your dogs, it's all those little things, right?
Right. Exactly. And I've started doing things that increase my movement. We've moved our office from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor, and now it's much easier to take the steps. Now it's just 1 floor. I realize that, but I was very rarely taking the steps when it was to the 3rd floor. So now I'm like every single day I have those steps going on, and I feel really good about that.
Yeah, that's great. And so that's movement. So exercise is intentional. Like you're getting sweaty, you're getting breathless, you probably change clothes, you don't like wear your work clothes,
Yeah.
It's different. It's a different attitude. And from a metabolism point of view, it's way different. Like movement accounts for like 15% of your metabolism, whereas exercise is only 5%. And that is actually one of the myths that we probably grew up thinking, that the only way to change your body composition was to exercise more and eat less.
Right.
It's false.
Yeah, that's so true. That old mindset has this way of creeping back, especially when we're feeling less than self-assured or stressed or whatever. It's easy to say, oh, well, I don't have time to do XYZ, and so I'll just do nothing. And that compounds itself, Cam. I've got to say, it's kind of like an avalanche of bad thoughts that kind of creep in there. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it's been a week and I haven't done anything. Now you may have moved your body, but you've got to intentionally set times to say, okay, I'm going to park a little further away so that I can walk up to the entrance to the store or whatever. It's got to be intentional.
I totally agree. And inertia, body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. And it's really easy to say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And then you've strung a whole bunch of tomorrows together, and we're talking a week or a month in. So today is all about practical strategies. Like, let's just do some really simple things. And we're going to call this the 4 W's of Midlife Fitness. It's inspired by Jade Teta, Dr. Jade Teta. He is the female metabolism certification that I took. And that is where this is coming from today.
Yeah, I love him, Cam. I follow him on Instagram. He's a really awesome resource, and he shares a lot of stuff online. And so having something like a mental hook, as you will, the 4 W's, we can remember that easier than if we're just kind of randomly remembering what to do.
Yeah, well, let's start with the first W, which we've already kind of mentioned. It's walking. Movement is the largest changeable part of your metabolism. 15%-ish or more is you can change every day. Are you moving your body through time, space, and gravity? That's it.
I love it. And walking is low impact, which for me has been something I've had to learn to embrace. I love that high impact stuff like running, but it doesn't service me as well in midlife. And the thing about walking, Cam, is you can do it anywhere. So, one of the things is, like I mentioned before, parking a little bit further away. A lot of times I'll just throw a pair of sneakers in my car, and alongside my office, there's paved walking trails. And honestly, even if I did something as little as put my sneakers on with my dress pants, I could walk a little bit. Now, if it's too warm, I don't want to really get all sweaty, but it enables me to actually be mobile, unexpectedly, as it were.
Absolutely. Moving like walking is a great way to help you lose or maintain weight because it's keeping your stress and your hunger low, which is super important in midlife. Those are the two things we're always combating, always.
Yeah, I think it was last summer we talked about this when the days were getting longer, of the benefits of walking after dinner. So after you eat your evening meal, because that actually helps me avoid nighttime hot flashes, is, so that food is starting to digest before I go to bed. Just, that last 30 minutes of daylight, just get outside and just walk. It doesn't have to be vigorously, 15, 20 minutes, just, having an after dinner conversation with my husband instead of sitting on the couch watching TV. And it's just so enjoyable.
It is. It does help your digestion. It helps with your blood sugar as well. So it's just like by moving your body, you're clearing your blood sugar from whatever you just ate for dinner. And I agree. Then you're adding in Mother Nature. You're outside. You're seeing the sunset, which may help you sleep better because of the colors. And you're investing in your relationship with yourself and your husband. That's great.
I love that. So there's a few other ways that we can walk. A lot of people wear some sort of pedometer. I'm kind of a numbers geek, so I would be super obsessed with it if I actually wore one. So I don't. That's kind of reverse psychology there. But anyway, park further away. We talked about that. Walk your dog, or walk across the street or around the block to see a neighbor or something like that. There's all kinds of ways you can incorporate more steps.
Yeah, easy. And I just got a walking pad for my desk. I noticed it's been cold and dreary this winter, and I was just not moving as much as I normally am. And I said, I'm just going to solve this. So I got a walking pad, and I can type, I can watch my webinars, whatever. I can do all the things.
I'm not sure what that is. Can you tell me how that works?
It's not a treadmill. Like, I'm not running on this thing. It is literally this flat thing that I can put underneath my desk. My desk is bar height, so it's higher. It's not counter height.
Yeah,
and so it's I have a standing desk, even though it doesn't go up and down. My husband has a desk that goes up and down.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, so mine is just up all the time, and I put this walking pad. I move the chair, and I put the walking pad, and I can walk. It's really awesome.
Well, does it move, or you just pick up your feet?
It's like a treadmill, but it's not a treadmill. Like, it doesn't have the big arms and the big display and all that. It's literally a rectangle that lays on the ground.
Does it have a belt that actually moves? Yep. Oh my God, that's so cool. I've got to investigate this.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a treadmill. Like, you're not doing intervals on it. It's not that. And it doesn't incline or anything like that. It's just a walking pad. Yeah,
I mean, years ago, this is sidestepping just a second. I saw something, they called it a walking desk, where it was a tall desk and it was like a treadmill. I mean, I guess you could increase the speed to walk faster, but you literally did work while you were walking. So I wasn't sure if that's where you were talking about or if this was something different.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And you can change the speed. Yeah, you can change the speed. It's fun.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it.
Getting me out of my chair.
Cool. I'm going to definitely Google this later, because I'm going to be like, I want to see if I can get one of those too.
Yeah. And it has wheels, and you roll it. And I right now it's leaning against the wall since I'm sitting.
Okay.
So yeah. Cool. Okay. So that's the first W, walking. The second W is working out with weights. Of course, that makes sense.
Of course it does. We talk about midlife muscle, and Cam, I know you've got programs for midlife muscle. Tell us a little bit how you advise women as far as just the framework for working out with weights.
Yeah, it's not what you're used to. It's just 2 times a week, about 30-ish minutes, right? And it's lifting the heaviest you can for like 10 to 12 reps. That is the science. What science is telling us will help keep our bones strong and grow our muscles and keep strong. So 10 to 12 reps. But here's the deal. If you pick up a weight and you whip through all 12 reps and you're like, that was no big deal. You picked up the wrong weight, lady. You need to pick up a heavier weight. So it needs to be challenging. And the last few reps need to be challenging each time, each set.
Sure, sure. So how do you feel about doing body weight sorts of exercises?
Oh, I think it has a place in life, but like for deadlifts, which is like probably the biggest weight you can pick up, it's literally picking something off the ground and picking it up. You need heavier weight than body weight.
Okay. I've actually what made me think of that when I think of working out with weights. I used to go to this class at the gym using a TRX, and I'm not if you're familiar with it or if our listeners are, but it was surprisingly hard. It's a system of straps fixed to a fixed point, and then you use your body weight to move through time and space. And it was pretty hard. I was actually surprised.
Yes, I do have a TRX in the gym, and I use it often for like ring rows and stuff like that. But the stability you need through your core on a TRX, so they are suspended and they move in all directions if you're not familiar, which requires extra core strength to move your arms and legs. You have to be centered or else it's not going to work.
Such a great tip. Thank you for that. So when we're talking about weights, Cam, I know that the advice was, we want to be able to do what I think you said 10 to 12 reps. Would you just say have people start with just maybe a 5-pound dumbbell to start with, just if you're not used to this?
So I really can't advise that because we're all different levels. But what I can say is if you can do 15 and it's no big deal, it's too light. That's you have to decide. And so day to day, this may change.
Gotcha.
So you have to pick a weight for the last few reps need to be challenging. And if it's not, then the next time you go through that series or next time you do that exercise, choose a heavier weight or slow down your movement. If you're limited with the number of weights you have available, all you need to do is slow down your movement and keep your muscles, quote unquote, on for longer. And it just works out perfectly.
Yeah. I can just say from personal experience, I started with like 2 pounds and then I just gradually, and I just went to like Dick's Sporting Goods and bought just the hand weights. And I think I have 5s, 8s, 10s. I may have 15s and I don't know that I can do 20s though, 20-pound dumbbells, but, and then, for me, when I travel, a lot of times I'll use the weights at the hotel gym. Yep. That makes it so that I don't have to travel with any kind of special equipment.
Yeah. And in general, like lighter weights are for your upper body and then the heavier weights are for your lower body. I know you can pick up the 20s with your lower body, squatting, deadlifting, all that stuff. And so really you can get started with 2 pairs of dumbbells and you're good to go. You can get going from there. So
perfect. And so what are some of the great side effects or benefits of working with weights?
Well, bone density is one. So we do not want to be frail, humped over ladies as we age, as we move through midlife. And so bone density is important. Any kind of jumping also. So like if you play tennis or, you can get bone density development in other places other than strength training. However, strength training also does other things like build your muscles and muscles are like your blood sugar soaker uppers. So the more muscle you have, the better chance you have of clearing your blood glucose after you eat.
Yeah. And what's really good for me, Cam, is weightlifting also helps with posture. And I'm always fighting gravity and I've fought a poor postural alignment just simply from bad habits for a long time. And I think it's really helped. And, you mentioned, core stability with the TRX, but that's helped me a lot too, is trying to get that core tight so that I can stand up straighter.
Absolutely. And then you have greater body awareness and then your confidence goes off the chart. You have off the chart confidence because you know how your body is moving and how you feel when you're upright or whatever it is. So it all kind of goes hand in hand.
I'm only guessing here, Cam, but I'm thinking it helps with balance also. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're off balance and about to fall. How many women have we heard about or personally known in our own lives that slipped and fell and broke a hip in their, 70s or 80s? I don't want to be that woman. So, trying to get I mean, it's simple things. Like I know an older lady who her shower it wasn't even like she was stepping over the tub. It was like 2 inches and she tripped on the lip of the shower and fell. And, that's dangerous. I mean, not just from the perspective of breaking a hip, but you could strike your head. So balance does decrease over age. And I, for one, am like, I don't want to be falling down. So
No.
I love that aspect or that benefit of using weights to work out or to move.
And it circles back to bone density. So you don't want to fall. If you do fall, you don't want your bones to break. And so, it's all connected.
Totally. I love that. And, I don't know if there's any of our listeners who feel sheepish about going to a quote weight room because it's like, oh, the guys are in there, the bodybuilders are in there. If you haven't been in a weight room in a while, you'd be amazed. There's a lot of girls there. But like you said, Cam, you can start with a couple of pairs of dumbbells at home and work on this.
Yeah, I love working out at home because I don't really wear shoes very often.
Yeah, I love that.
And I can work out without shoes on, which is amazing, like when you're squatting or deadlifting, because you are feeling, if you're balanced, which you just mentioned, like, where is my weight balanced? Am I balanced through my whole foot? So yeah, anyway.
Very good. So what's our next W?
Oh, number 3 is work out less. What?
Yeah,
work out less.
I know for so many of us, this is a hard thing to overcome, to feel like more is better, more is better, more is better. And it's really not. And if you're at that point in midlife where you're thinking something has got to change because this isn't working, welcome to midlife and just try working out less. I promise you it will work.
Yeah. And so if you're used to like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule or a Tuesday, Thursday schedule, the easiest way to do is add an extra rest day. So try Monday, Thursday. Yeah. It's just add an extra rest day between your strength workouts. And let me explain why. We're stressing our muscles so they grow, and we get stronger in the recovery in the days in between. So we're feeding our muscles with protein. We're taking days off.
Cam, I've always understood that when we strength train and we have like micro tears in the muscle or whatever, that the actual strength occurs and when it's rebuilt during the recovery periods or during the rest. But what I've noticed, and what I think you had said a minute ago, was that recovery takes longer in midlife. So it's not like we can do all of this massive working out and not suffer some sort of injury. We need to respect our body and take that recovery. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. You just need to work out less. And so when we're working out, we want to do the effort. Like I mentioned, the 8 to 12 reps or so, and making sure the last few reps are really challenging with good form, always with good form. And then take an extra day off between the next time you go in, and you're going to get stronger. You're going to notice less wear and tear in your body. You're going to notice you have more energy. You're going to experience less injuries. All the things are going to happen if you're feeling like worn out and exhausted, you're probably still overdoing it.
Right, exactly. Because I think you and I both have had times where we had strange injuries or we felt like we were constantly injured because we had entered that area in midlife where we probably shouldn't have been working out as much as we were, but we had that old mindset and just continued to do those things.
It's so hard to give that mindset up.
It is. It is.
And you might notice also, like, you're doing all the things and you're working out extra hard, but your belly's still fluffy. And that's just a sign that you're living in your old world and your new world, that you need to back it off. And I know it doesn't make sense because you're like, why is my belly fluffy? Well, you're overdoing it, chances are.
So good and so important to keep stating over and over, because for a lot of us it is really hard. But when you do actually work out less, there's some extra good benefits that you'll find, that you have more time to do other fun things. I know, Cam, when I was a triathlete, I was so dead set on working out that I would forego fun things with my family or my friends because I absolutely had to get that workout in. So embracing this new mindset of working out less does open the door for those sorts of joyous opportunities.
I love it. More adventures and less time on the couch recovering. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that, as long as we don't feel guilty, and that's a warning because I've done that, to be like, oh, I really should be doing something else. And then that takes me away from being completely present with my family or my friends. And again, it is a mindset change, but one that's definitely worth embracing.
Don't you feel like since we've started this podcast, we've had a shift in that? Do you
Oh,
feel like,
100%.
yeah, I feel
100%.
like when
Yeah.
we first started, I was still hanging on to that. Oh, I used to be able to. Oh, I used to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Woo, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, me too. But I fought it, girl. Like I fought it, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I've just really, it's taken probably at least the whole time we've been doing the podcast. And I think I started trying to change before, but just, it's weird to say having an accountability partner for an attitude to do less, but that's kind of what it's been.
Yeah. And we're not saying do less and sit on the couch. We're saying when you do stuff, do it well, excuse me, and then rest. That's what we're saying.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, even when I was doing triathlon, I did somewhat, I understood the concept of active recovery, meaning nothing strenuous, but I really didn't believe that it worked. And so in midlife, I've kind of been forced to say, hey, lady, slow down.
Hey, lady. Well, that brings us back to our number 4. Our fourth W is work out harder. And you're going to be like, what? You just told us to work out less.
Exactly. What?
What? Well, that's the thing. You want to make your minutes count in the gym. So the right amount of intensity is magical in midlife. And so when you are doing your weights, make it count. Lift as heavy as possible. Make sure the last few reps are tough. When you're doing cardio, make sure your intensity is there, not just moderate. We want to stay out of moderate. We want to either be resting or, real low intensity or really high intensity. So
this is so good. And I lived in moderate for decades, probably. I mean, just probably nothing more than going through the motion because that's all I had the energy for. And I feel so sad for for that person I was because I thought, wow, how much better could I have felt if I really embraced this? But I do like the idea of giving it your all when you're in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're talking like 30-minute workouts. So it's not, it's not your whole day or double, hours on the bike or whatever you used to do.
Right.
Swimming and all the things.
I think I'd remember this workout. There was a workout that you gave me maybe last spring. And I think it involved step ups and maybe some kind of tricep exercise. It was only about 3 exercises. And I can't remember if it was done. I don't remember the format exactly, but it only took me like 20 minutes and I was like sweating bullets. Like I was pouring sweat at the end and I thought, I can't believe I worked out that hard and feel that much work in just 20 minutes.
Right. And that's it. And then you had the rest of your day to do all the other things.
Yeah. It was very amazing. So some sort of structure is good for me. I don't know if that's important as far as like the workout harder, if having that structure is really good, but I enjoy that.
Yeah. So work out harder applies to your weights, like lifting heavier and getting sweaty, like you mentioned, but it also applies to cardio. And so there's a lot of research that visceral fat, belly fat, is one of the combaters of it, if you will, is intensity training. But I like to do it. It's called HIRT. It stands for high intensity repeat training. So you do intervals, high intensity intervals. However, you add more rest between the intervals. And that allows you to not put as much burden on your body and you're recovering a little bit better before you do the next one. So less injuries, more calorie burn, more belly fat burn, all the things.
So like something like that, Cam, what I've done in the past is like on the bike, because I set my bike up on this training apparatus and I'll actually do my high intensity repeat intervals there. Do you think that'd be a good way to go?
Absolutely. I love doing body weight things. You can do either like literally jumping jacks or anything you can do. Ride your bike, row, run.
Oh yeah, rowing. That's a great one.
All the things. And so you want to be intense for like 10 to 20 seconds. That's it. And then recover until you can go again at that intensity.
Gotcha.
So that's where the mindset comes in. Because as a former CrossFitter, we use the Tabata clock and you had 10 seconds to rest. And you can't. There's not enough rest. There's not enough time to breathe right there anymore. So, you have to let it go. And, maybe it's 45 seconds, maybe it's a minute, maybe it's a minute and a half, but the goal is to be intense at the same intensity every round. And so rest until you can go again. That's what I like to say.
And you know what? For folks that haven't done this before, I encourage you to give it a try. If you haven't been in CrossFit or triathlon or a runner or a cyclist or some other sort of organized sport where you've actually are part of a world where this is normal, give it a try. You might even be surprised at how good you feel when your heart rate really goes up for that short period of time and then you fall back to recovery. So I encourage you to try it in any number of ways. I think there's plenty of methods that you can, or plenty of, I shouldn't say methods, like sports or activities. That's the word. Activities where you can actually apply a high intensity repeat interval and it be super effective. And what I've observed in other people is if you haven't done this before, just adding this to your movement/workout schedule really increases that fat burn.
Yeah. And it's only like 20 minutes. These are even faster, even maybe 15 minutes after you warm up. But you can do it with anything. If you're out walking, you can walk at intensity for 10 to 20 seconds and then walk slower.
Exactly.
It's really, you can do it anywhere. Right.
Exactly. I love it.
You're going to burn calories during, and then you're going to burn calories after. And that's also true with weights. So our body uses calories when it's repairing our muscles that we stressed out, that we're trying to grow. So yeah, win.
I love, and there's another W, Cam, win.
Is that the fifth W, Amelia?
I think it might be. I love it.
Win your workouts.
Win your workout and win at life, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, tell us, let's go back to talk a little bit about cardio, and how cardio affects your stress or whatever. Like, how many times a week do you advise cardio?
Like 1 or 2 times a week. And it really depends on, have you slept? Are you hydrated? Have you eaten? What's life doing? If life is throwing you a ton of curveballs and you're not sleeping, that is not the time to go do an interval. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good advice. And so if you had planned to do something one day and you didn't sleep well, do you advise people to not do it at all, do it at a lighter, like, intensity, or do weights? Like, what would you say? How would we handle not feeling our best on a day that we have a workout selected that no longer feels like it's appropriate?
Yeah. So first of all, good job at realizing it's not appropriate, because I think I would have pushed through in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's okay to change your schedule. I mean, plan it, get an idea what's in the way of your week. How are you going to plan your week? But then be flexible with your body, because we don't want to push through and push that cortisol, seesaw too far. So on a day like that, if you haven't slept and your just life stress is crazy, go for a walk, because you can go to the other W. So, or maybe weights. Either one of those would probably be a good choice, but you really have to check in with yourself and say,
sure,
is going to push me too far, or is this going to be supportive of my body?
Well, I got to tell you, last year I went to a conference I think it was March last year, and I had a plan on when I was going to work out while I was away, because the hotel had a gym, and I got there, and with business dinners, it ended up being too much, and I did modify it, and I felt a little bit guilty, but I felt proud of myself for not pushing through it. And then this year, just a few weeks ago, I had a different meeting where I wasn't staying at home, and I purposefully scheduled 2 days where I wasn't going to work out. I didn't even plan it, because I knew with starting it with meetings at 8 a.m. and still having dinners and not getting done until, about 9 p.m., could I have gotten up at 5 or 4:30 in the morning and worked out? Absolutely. But I was under a lot of stress. I was making presentations. I was putting my best foot forward in the business world. And I just said, you know what? This is not the week to press for that extra workout. And I worked out one day when I was gone. I had a great workout, and I just did not worry about it. And just recognizing and having the planning of not pushing myself in a week that I knew was going to be stressful. I felt so proud of myself for giving myself a break, because the old me would have totally not done that.
I totally relate to that story. We would have pushed through and ignored all the signs and symptoms and the whispers our body was saying and just kept going.
Yeah. And whether you're a person who is looking to do more, or actually you're recognizing then you need to do less, it's a great time of life and a great time of year to really check in and figure out what the next step is. Thanks for listening today. You can find us on Instagram at midlife.mamas.
For all of our other contact info, check out the show description below, and we will talk to you next week.